Howdy and welcome back to Celebrating Vintage Model Kits. Today we're going to be looking at another Matchbox kit. This is the 1972 Matchbox kit of the F4U-4. It's a PK-14, so it's one of the very early Matchbox kits, and it's in the usual 1/72nd scale for Matchbox. And Matchbox is known for kind of doing some of the more obscure aircraft out there. And then when they do a kit of a more well-known aircraft, such as a Corsair, they're not just doing the typical F4U-1 that most manufacturers were doing. They're doing the F4U-4, a late World War II version that went on to fly post-war and through into Korea. So the F4U-4 is the last variant to see service during World War II. Deliveries began in early 1945, and the main difference on it was they replaced the R2800 engine with a later version of it with the Dash 18W, which was a 2100 horsepower, but it also had water alcohol injection, which was able to boost the horsepower up to 2450 horsepower. They added an air scoop on here to bring in air for the supercharger. And they also eliminated the wing fuel tanks that were unarmored, that were out in the wings. So they sacrificed some range in order to gain more maneuverability. It was able to they also changed the prop to a 4-bladed prop. So the earlier F4Us had the 3-blade prop. And so all these changes combined increased the maximum speed to 448 miles an hour, and the climb rate went up from about 2,600 feet per minute to 4,500 feet per minute. So this was very effective for dealing with late war kamikaze challenges. So this was a very popular aircraft at the end of the war. As far as armament goes, it retained the same basic armament of 650 calibers. The F4U-4B had the four 20mm cannons, and then as far as the weapons or ordnance that it could carry, was still the same, up to a couple thousand pounds of bombs, rockets, napalm tanks, drop tanks, the usual. A total of 2,351 F4U-4s were built, along with 5 prototypes. So that's a little history on this particular version of the F4U. And here we've got this great box cover here by Roy Huxley in this fantastic paint scheme with the green striping of the post-war training squadron from the Marine Corps. And they've got here that it's flying VMF T-20 based at MCAS Cherry Point in 1952, undergoing flight deck landing tests during exacting Marine training program. And they've got a carrier sitting here. This looks very British, so I'm not so sure this is the most accurate carrier here, but it's a pretty good rendition of the Corsair on here, kind of very dynamic with it coming out of the box. And then we've got trademark across the bottom for Lesney Products, which is the parent company for Matchbox. On the side here, we've got our code number of PK-14, part of the Purple series, and a few of the other aircraft that were made in the series, the Gnat, Mustang, Hurricane 2C, and F5A Freedom Fighter. On this side here, it shows you the being molded in 2 colors, what it would look like if you built it with just doing decals, no painting. And so you can see it's in 2 colors of blue here. Quality engineered in 2 colors, same coating. End of the box is got the purple code, or the purple dots here. PK-14 code, repeat of the top box art. And the same thing on this side. Airfix was nice and showed you 3 view color views of the decals that were included, and a little blurb in 5 different languages here. And this is the early box that is a top opener without the clear window that most people are familiar with. This is the first style of box that Matchbox was issued in. So it's top opener. And on the sides of the bottom, we've got some more information in the languages. We've got additional painting instructions for plan number 1, if you want to do some specific detail painting on it. And on this side here is for plan number 2, same thing for detail painting of that particular paint scheme. On the side here, they're showing you the Matchbox stand that was multi-position display stand. And that is it for that. And then let's take a look at the instructions. Most of your early Matchbox kits, the instructions were printed in the color of the series that it was in. So this is purple. More information about Corsair up here. Specifications. Hot hints. Remember, don't put it on big globs of goo. Then here we have information about the call-outs. Start out with pilots, going into the seat, assembly of the engine, pretty simple. Put the engine on the fuselage, close fuselage up. Put your canopy on, tail, your wings, and then finally your landing gear. So this doesn't come with any ordnance. But interesting enough, it looks like it's got cannon armament on the kit, even though the box art doesn't depict cannon. That's what's being shown on this drawing here. And here's some more information on the paint plan and other kits that are available in the series. So here's our decal sheet. We've actually got 2 decal sheets in this box for some reason. And we'll kind of peel these back. So they're pretty well preserved. Although the Matchbox decals always had this kind of, filmy grain to them. But they were pretty decent decals. Shape on these star and bars seems a little off. But it's nice they do give you the green striping for the training squadron. And so these, of course, do exist. The training squadron one, I was not able to locate any photographs of these guys, but there is a restored Corsair that's done in the markings from this squadron. So I'll show you that one. And then the other one is for, let's see here, flip it back over again. It's for VMF 211, post-war markings here. And VMF 211 is the remnants of the Wake Island Squadron, and they were reformed in World War II. Had some success in that. And then post-war, with the F4U-4s, they went to China as part of the occupation force in China, as the Japanese were pulling out of China. And they stayed around until about 48, and then it eventually pulled out once the communist forces were gaining territory in China, so they pulled back out of there. And then they did fly in Korea, and halfway through the Korean War, they switched over to Sky Raiders. So I was able to find some photographs of these guys, so we'll show those to you here. Okay, so let's take a look at the plastic inside. Here's our stand and the Matchbox M. Now a short stand. Here's our wings, and this is molded in this light blue color. We've got some representation of the fabric covering on the horizontal tail surfaces here. There's our Pratt & Whitney engine, kind of very simple. And here's our wings with recessed panel lines. You know, some people say these are Grand Canyon panel lines, and this one's not too terrible. Some of them get pretty deep. And then the bottom side. So the Corsair and the outer wings, these were fabric covered, but I think by the 4, they went to metal covering on the outside. But not too bad. And then here we have our fuselage parts. These are molded in dark navy blue. There's our 4-blade prop. And looks like they do give you these little things to put inside the intakes and the wing roots. There is our nose ring with the air scoop at the bottom that does have some texturing inside. There's our pilot and pilot seat. And here's our fuselage. So same thing again, fairly heavy with the panel lining. Some representation of fabric covering here. There's our wheels, not too bad looking. Our landing gear bits are a little simplified. And there's those cannon. And nothing on the inside. As far as detail goes, we do have Matchbox date of 73 in there. And then finally, we've got our canopy. And that's not too bad. There we go. There we go. Okay, keeps changing focus, but it does have raised framing, and it's a little thick, a little bit of distortion. Needs to be polished up. It's been kicking around in this box for a while, but not too shabby. So there you have it. Fairly simple kit, but pretty decent looking. So Matchbox issued this a few times. You can imagine the Corsair being a fairly popular aircraft in their lineup. So we have this here, the original 72 release. There was another 73 release with the top opening box, and then 74 went to the side opening box with the window. And then AMT in the United States was a distributor of Matchbox kits in the late 70s. They had their version of it, the cutout box art of the central aircraft on kind of a white background. And then in the 80s, the 82, there's the black box with the orange and yellow striping from Matchbox. And that was, I think, the final issue for Matchbox themselves. That after they got acquired by Revell, Revell popped one out one more time in 92 with kind of a duplicate of that black box again. So that's about it for this kit. If you built one of these, kind of got a feeling that some of you may have done this one. So tell us about it. Tell us your experience on this. And if you still got one sitting on your shelf, definitely take a picture of it, send it in to us so we can include it in the next viewer build video. Well, that's all for today. Thanks for watching, and have yourself a great rest of your day.